This is a true story sent by one of our subscribers and edited by me to share with you to ensure the safety and anonymity of all involved. We changed the names and some details, but the essence of this journey of courage and overcoming is completely true. I'm Mercia, I'm 22 years old and I'm in that crazy phase of college. I'm studying pedagogy. Yes, I know. There's always someone who says, "Oh, so you want to be a teacher?" And yes, I think that's what I want, but it's not easy. It's not a job, an internship, and there are also endless texts to read and tests. Anyway, it's tough, but I'm getting by. Oh, and just because I study pedagogy doesn't mean that we only take pretty little classes. Course is tough. It has educational psychology, development theories, a bunch of pedagogues that we have to read and understand. Each semester is a new challenge, but always with that goal. Up ahead, and I won't lie, sometimes crisis hits me, Zinha, like am I in the right course, but then I see the kids at the internship and I remember how that warms my heart, and my routine is an organized chaos. I would say it's waking up early to catch the bus if it's crowded, right? Go to college, then run to the internship, and when I get home I'm exhausted. My friends say that have a double life. Mercia is a college student, and Mercia loves going out on the weekend to de-stress. For now I still live with my parents. I'm an only child, you know how it is, right? Our routine is super calm and full of good moments. We have dinner together, watch a series, talk about the day, simple things that make all the difference in terms of dating. So at the moment I'm not even thinking about it, to tell you the truth. I've never really dated, I've had a few flirtations, but I've never gotten to the finals when we go out group to go for a walk at the mall or at the bar. It's always the same story. The girls go crazy with me saying that I don't give guys a chance. They arrive giving me that push, they try to push me towards the guys who come to talk to us, but I end up kind of in my own self, just observing and laughing at the situations. They think I'm difficult or too much in my own self, but the truth is that I simply don't feel in such a hurry for these things. The holidays finally arrived. I was counting the days to take a break from the hustle and bustle of college and internships. The idea is to rest a little, recharge my energies, and of course enjoy the summer the way it deserves. Right away, the girls have already booked a beach. I confess that I'm excited because after an intense semester, nothing better than a little fun and lightness. It will be good to change the routine, enjoy the sun, the heat, and maybe even go on a little more adventure. During this vacation on Saturday, Danny showed up here house to pick me up, and then our trip began. The girls were already waiting at the meeting point and I just had to grab my bag, put on my bikini and leave. The sun was perfect. Everyone was excited to enjoy themselves. Arriving at the beach, the first thing we did was set up a tent to secure a little spot for ourselves and leave everything organized. The girls had brought a cooler filled with beers and some. The idea was to stay there until the sun went down. No rush. We stretched out the beach towels, turned on the music box, and the atmosphere was perfect. The plan was simple, but with the right people, this kind of day always turns into an adventure. It didn't take long for Danny to nudge me and let go. "Mercia, look at the guy in the tent next door, he won't stop looking at you." I laughed and tried to hide it, but of course she and the girls got even more excited. The guy was with some friends, all chatting, but he kept glancing in our direction. Danny was all excited. "Go on, Mercia, give me a chance. He's clearly interested." Until, after so much insistence from the girls, I ended up glancing back, just playing around, flirting. Nothing serious. There was a fun atmosphere of exchanging glances, and between one flirt and another, we were sending C in the drinks as we drank. The excitement only increased. Each one was already laughing louder than the other until someone had the idea, "Let's get in the water to cool off." We left everything in the tent and ran to the sea. The water was delicious and the feeling of getting into that cold sea was perfect. We made the most of the day, enjoying every moment without worrying about anything. The vibe was so good that when I looked up at the sky and saw that it was almost dark, I realized it was Time to go home. When I got home, my mother called me to talk and told me she was thinking about spending a few days at Uncle Damiao's farm. He became a widower a few years ago. She wanted to visit him. I hadn't been there for a long time, and honestly I vaguely remember some things, but I know I always liked that place a lot. The idea of spending a few days there excited me. The farm has that peaceful atmosphere full of nature and brought back good memories of my childhood. My mother used to say with so much affection about how good it would be to see Uncle Damiao again, that I started to get excited too. It would be a great opportunity to relax and recharge my batteries away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. After all, I had all my vacation left to enjoy with the girls. It would be nice to spend a few days without cell phone internet and disconnect from the world. The next day we started packing. My mom was super excited, choosing clothes and making a list of what to take. My dad couldn't go this time because he had to go to the supermarket, so he stayed home taking care of things. We continued our journey, and since it was far away, we ended up getting to the farm only in the afternoon. During the way, my mom and I were talking, remembering some stories about Uncle Damiao and the times when we went there more frequently. When we arrived, Uncle Damiao was there waiting for us anxiously. As soon as he saw me, he hugged me really tight and commented, "Wow, how you've grown. You look beautiful." Uncle Damiao must have been with her 60 years now, and as we started to talk, my memory was refreshing about the things there. He started to tell stories about the old days, remembering the games that me and the neighbor's daughter used to play when we were kids and all. This brought a wave of nostalgia, remembering Mercia from Vanisinia. She is the one who helps me here nowadays. My mind traveled. I remembered that I had fun with her when I went there. The conversation about her brought a warm feeling in my heart, and I was curious to know more about what she was doing. We talked for hours until the tiredness of the trip hit hard, and we decided to go to bed. Uncle told me with that smile that he was going to throw me out of bed thirsty to go fishing. The next day I was still sleeping when I felt someone touch me on the arm. When I woke up, I saw that it was Meow's uncle, who came into my room to wake me up to go fishing. He said that my mother was already picking some seasonal fruits and that I was supposed to get up, get dressed and go too. I was a little embarrassed that he had come into my room, but I thought it was the excitement of being there on the farm. He was always so spontaneous and playful. We went to the lake to fish, me and Uncle Damiao, while my mother stayed finishing picking the fruits on the way to the lake. Uncle Damiao asked me about my boyfriends, and in that playful way of his, he said, "You're so beautiful, you must be full of." I was a little embarrassed and replied that I didn't have time for that. I quickly changed the subject to break the mood. My mother joined us. The day was perfect for fishing. We sat down by the lake, we set up the rods, and the excitement filled the air. It was a moment of pure relaxation, and I knew that those memories would be kept with fondness in my memory. It didn't take long, and I caught the first fish. The feeling was incredible, but soon came the distress of having to remove the fish from the hook. I've always been a bit afraid of touching those slippery scales and of looking at the fish's face, so I asked my uncle to take it off for me. We stayed there fishing for a long time, enjoying the tranquility of the lake and the excitement of each catch, but we ran out of bait, and my uncle said he was going to the house to get more. While he went there, I took the opportunity to admire the surrounding landscape, breathing in the fresh air and listening to sounds of nature. It was a perfect moment. After a few minutes, I noticed that the mosquitoes had started to attack us, and the situation became very uncomfortable, so I decided it was best to go home to get some repellent. When I entered the house, I heard some laughter that seemed to be a woman's, and I realized it was coming from the living room. I got closer, and the laughter got louder, making me curious. As I got closer, I imagined it could be Vanessa, since my uncle had said that she would be here today. The expectation of seeing her again grew as I got closer. Before she could be seen, I heard my uncle's voice. I also got closer and looked hidden. The scene I saw left me speechless. The uncle was with the tool out with Vanessa kissing her, still not knowing what to do. In a mixture of curiosity and astonishment, I stayed there for a few more minutes, and the situation got even worse. I would say better. Vanessa asked him to put it on her right away before he arrived someone. And without wasting any time, the uncle hammered deep. She tried to scream softly. She was very eager. That was a shock, and at the same time a discovery. After all, I had never been with a man, and for the first time I felt wet seeing all that before they could finish. I ran out of there. I even forgot to get the repellent after seeing the uncle with Vanessa. I confess that the scene would not leave my head at all. I had never imagined seeing the uncle like that. That image kept coming back to my mind, and I tried to understand what was going on between them before continuing with the story. Really quick, guys, if you are enjoying it, don't forget to like it, Maroto, and if you are not yet, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to watch the new videos that are coming. I also want to know what you think of this story, so comment below. Now let's go back. I went back to the lake and told my mother that I had not found the repellent, and she decided to go back home. She could not stay there any longer. On the way back to the farmhouse, we met our uncle, who seemed very happy. He called us and said that Vanessa had arrived and that we should go back so that I could see her coming back. I disguised myself and went straight to hug Vanessa. She was very happy to see me, and her smile was sincere, which made me relax a little, even though my thoughts were still a bit jumbled. At that moment in my head, I tried to leave the confusion aside, at least for a moment. Vanessa dragged me to the area and, all excited, said she wanted to know everything. She wanted to know how I was doing, the news about my studies, and she didn't let any detail go by. She was curious to know everything about my life. I told her about college, some stories from the course, and I gradually relaxed, letting the conversation flow. Over time, I was able to relax and enjoy the conversation like in the old days. She laughed a little and said that her life wasn't very exciting. That was summed up right there on the farm without any major news. My routine is this here: helping Damiao take care of things, lending a hand where he needs nothing. Very exciting, you know. At the time I thought, let's lend a hand. I know well the little hand she gives. We talked a little more, and then Vanessa went to prepare lunch for us. From then on, I started to pay more attention and notice some exchanges of glances between her and her uncle, the smiles and even some discreet touches between them. My mother, however, did not notice anything wrong. She was completely at ease, talking to her uncle and enjoying the peaceful atmosphere of the farm. I tried to hide it and watched from the corner of my eye. After lunch, we rested a little, and almost at the end of the afternoon, we went to the backyard. Uncle Damiao had some homemade cachaca stored away and, with that relaxed manner, asked me if I wanted to try it. Vanessa was still there and, laughing, encouraged me to try it. Murcia is really good. I confess that I was curious. I was used to beer and milkshakes, but I thought that a sip wouldn't hurt, so I decided to join in the fun and accept the suggestion. Vanessa was apparently used to drinking, and without thinking twice, she immediately filled a large glass for her. I took a few sips of mine, and I confess, the cachaca hit me quickly. I was already a little high, feeling that little warmth rising, enjoying the momentum of the cachaca and seeing that I was more relaxed. And Vanessa also came up with the idea of asking about the scene I had seen earlier in the kitchen. When I noticed the intimacy between Vanessa and Uncle Damiao, with a smile on my face, I went straight to the point. And then, Vanessa and Uncle Damiao, I saw you guys today early making out. What's going on? She was a little surprised by my question, but then decided to open up with a mischievous look. She said that she had been seeing Uncle Damiao for 2 years. This got me in a way I had no idea. She took a deep breath as if she was preparing herself to share something deeper, and continued, Murcia, he made me feel like a woman, you know, since we started getting together. It was all very natural. We get along really well. He is funny, affectionate, and honestly I have never felt so comfortable with anyone. While he was talking, I could see the excitement in her eyes mixed with a touch of excitement, and I paid attention to every detail, she added, saying that her uncle was the first man she had felt and that he had opened up everything in her. She also told me that she loves to feel older men. After she started with her uncle, others came along, but they were always the same age. She said that she feels a great attraction to being with older men. She also continued by asking what the guys were like in the big city. Did I go out a lot? In the mood for drinking? I ended up answering that I was still in a relationship and that I had never felt anyone. She said, very naughty, who knows, maybe the hook won't catch you these days. I laughed and hid it. The next morning I got up early, still feeling a little groggy from the night before. My head was heavy and I could barely think. When I got to the kitchen to get water and take a pill, Uncle Damiao showed up. I was just in my pajamas, not imagining that he would be there so early. When he came into the kitchen, he asked if I needed help. I said I was just going to take some medicine to see if my hangover would get better. But even though I tried to act normal, I noticed he was looking at me differently from head to toe. That look left me a little disconcerted. It was as if he was evaluating not only me, but the whole situation. That made me even more nervous. I tried to ignore it, but the feeling of discomfort stayed there, hovering between us. The scene of Vanessa with Uncle Damiao immediately came to mind. That intimacy I had witnessed and her revelations about him having inaugurated everything for her. The memory made me feel butterflies in my stomach and a lump in my throat with that hint of excitement. Now there I was, alone in the kitchen with him looking at me like that. I finished taking the medicine, and before I could turn around to go back to the room, he said to me, "Did you like what you saw yesterday?" My heart started racing. I didn't think that he had seen me. I tried to hide it, but it was clear that my face was on fire. That conversation was taking a turn that I never imagined. I pretended not to have heard the question and went to the bedroom. I could barely sleep. I was restless, and when I realized I was touching myself, remembering him taking Vanessa, I was soaked. The day finally dawned, and when I woke up I didn't see my mother or uncle in the house. I imagined that they had already gone to the lake. I waited a while in the kitchen when I heard voices approaching. It was them arriving with some bunches of bananas. I turned around and saw my mother and Uncle Damiao coming in through the door laughing and talking. My mother went to make coffee, and in the meantime Uncle Damiao told me enthusiastically that at night I'm going to roast corn on the wood. It's delicious. And so we anxiously waited for nightfall. At night, while the corn was roasting on the wood, Uncle Damiao brought those kachacas again. It seemed like he was planning something. He insisted that my mother try it, and to my surprise she decided to join in the dance. She wasn't used to drinking, so soon she started to feel really bad. She laughed non-stop. She told stories about her youth and even seemed lighter, but at the same time I was worried because as time went by she got more and more dizzy. It wasn't long before who called Vanessa. My mother was really drunk, so I decided to get her up and take her to bed. "Come on, Mom, you better get some rest," I said, wrapping my arm around her and helping her to stand up. She shook her head, mumbling something about still wanting to stay, but with each step I noticed that she was letting herself be carried away by drowsiness. I stayed there for a moment, and it didn't take long for her to fall asleep. When I came back, Uncle Damiao looked at me and said, "Hey, now the party is going to start. Let's toast." Raising his glass, I was going to stick to beer, but he insisted that I have another drink, so I grabbed a glass and joined them. We had several drinks after that, and the excitement took over me. But as the night went on I started to notice Uncle touching Vanessa in a more intimate way, disguised but impossible to ignore the way he ran his hand around her waist as she got closer to him, returning each gesture with a knowing smile. It left me in a very exciting state. Out of nowhere it started to rain, and the outdoor meeting had to be interrupted. The wind, it blew hard and the raindrops started to fall, so we all ran inside the house, seeking shelter in the living room. The change in the atmosphere brought a new atmosphere, and soon the smell of cachaca and laughter took over the closed space. Vanessa sat down next to her uncle again, continuing that exchange of touches and glances that only made me more excited. The sound of the rain hitting the tiles created a cozy soundtrack while we had fun, and I let myself get carried away by the moment. It was then that Uncle Damiao, with that mischievous smile, asked if we wanted to play truco, but with a bet. "How about it, guys? Let's liven things up tonight, but whoever loses will go swimming in the lake." We agreed. Uncle Damiao came up with the idea of facing the cold of the lake on that rainy night. It seemed completely insane, but in the heat of the moment we agreed. The game started to heat up and the cards went back and forth. The laughter, the shouts of celebration, and even the teasing got more intense, but there was no way. Vanessa and I lost badly and without mercy. Uncle said, "I'll go get some water now, but I'll go with you to make sure you'll go in even with your body warm from the drink." The three of us went there. I since was happier I went in first than Vanessa, and to our surprise Uncle decided to go in with us. He said it was to pass the fire. I noticed that he and Vanessa were closer than ever. It was when I realized that in the midst of the laughter and the joke, Uncle started to hold her in a firmer way, pulling her closer. It was when suddenly he started to kiss her. Right there in front of me. I just watched After a while he turned to me and asked if I wanted to see him again. With Vanessinia on the spur of the moment, my curiosity got the better of me and I said yes. He then told us to go to the little room that was in the back of the house, so we all went there. When we got there, he immediately laid Vanessa down on the bed and started kissing her all over every part. He didn't miss any detail. She got thirsty after some time. He took out his huge tool. He looked at me and asked if I wanted to taste Vanessa without holding back. He revealed that I was new in the area. It was then that he got even more excited and came to where I was asking me to take it. It was then that I held the stick firmly and enjoyed everything she asked me to stay by her side. I went there and the uncle said he was going to inaugurate my little square. I relaxed, and then he was very affectionate, slowly introducing what I had been saving for years. He was very greedy and was not satisfied and said he wanted to explore other paths. I was scared because I had already received all that and did not want to feel more pain. When I asked to leave the other room for another time, he agreed and just stayed there in the main area for several minutes until he took it off and poured his love on Vanessa, since she had not participated in the game. We stayed there for a while longer. Then we went back to the house and took a shower, still processing everything that had happened. The next day my mother decided to go. Although we could not do it again, it left me with a taste of wanting more. I never imagined living such madness. It was a unique experience. Looking back, I realized that those weeks on the farm changed everything for me. What started as a simple family outing turned into a roller coaster of emotions and discoveries. I found myself in the middle of unexpected situations, where the dynamics between me, Uncle Damiao, and Vanessinia developed in a way that I would never have expected. Those laughs, the games, the conversations by the lake, and, of course, the scene of the two kissing. All of this was engraved in my memory. It was a mix of fun and confusion that somehow made me mature. While I tried to understand their new relationship, I also ended up learning about myself, about how people can connect in ways that defy all expectations. Even now, when I remember everything, I can't help but smile. It was intense, it was crazy, and in a way it made me see the world with different eyes. Life on the farm taught me that reality can be more complex than we imagine, and that sometimes the craziest experiences are the ones that leave the biggest mark on us. Oh, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I did. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a like below, and I want to know your opinion. What did you think of this story? Comment here. Oh, and if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe so you don't miss the next videos full of adventures and surprises. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.